Alongside Bobski, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and we're bringing you the action here on this last match, and we're getting started right off the bat here, so we'll explain things as we go along, but our racers are looking to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord, and the King is giving them instructions as far as how to get things going and what they're going to be able to find here, which looks like we're starting off with some big bucks, also an herb, and some more big bucks. Now, the flag sets are going to be a little bit different than usual. Our runners are going to be learning the spells in the vanilla order of the game, so they won't get a spell until level 3, and that will be the heal spell. Now, inside the treasury here, it looks like we've got some bucks. We've got an herb. And it looks like a set of wings as well. And it looks like we've got a couple of our runners utilizing a treasure chest glitch here. And it looks like a gold, a torch, an herb, and wings in the treasury.
If I'm not mistaken, it looks like Ryguy got right out and found Breckenary and seems to have bought a broadsword. So he'll have a little bit of boosted attack power to go with the beginning of...
Yes, the broadsword adding 20 attack points to their total. Now, the object of our runners, they're trying to find and defeat the evil Dragon Lord, and they'll be collecting certain key items to trade in for the rainbow drop, which will allow the runners to enter Sharlock Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in. And there is quite a bit that is randomized, as it looks like in the Tablet Cave we have also found an herb here. And the Tablet Cave, I believe, is the back of Tantagel Castle, where our racers are starting here. Now, randomized here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer is, as you can see, the overworld map, as well as the treasure chest and search spot contents, the locations of the towns and caves, the contents of the weapon and armor shops, also the enemy locations and enemy spells and abilities, plus the Dragon Lord, which in the vanilla version of the game has 130 hit points. Here has a range of 150 to 165 hit points, so that will allow for a little bit of strategy on our runner's part, as it looks as though Will Wagner purchasing at least a small shield on in the town of Breckenary, I should say. So quite a bit of purchasing going on here in the early going to at least get some sort of protection on some of these early level enemies. Now, what's different here for this first week of the flag sets for the Dragon Warrior Randomizer League is, as you can see on the screen, the vanilla spell learning. So our runners won't encounter a spell that they will acquire until level 3, where they'll get the spell of heal. Level 4 would be the spell of hurt, which will do anywhere in the mid-teens to probably about 8 to 16 hit points of damage once cast. Then at level 7, they'll acquire sleep. Radiant at level 9, which will light their way in caves. Then their stop spell at level 10, all the way up until the spell of hurt more at level 19. But the key spell that they're going to need is the heal more spell, which is acquired at level 17. So our runners are going to be getting experience to get up to a level 17 at minimum as they go along the way here. Also, you see that there are no keys. Normally, those doors that have to be opened, you would require a magic key that is purchased in one of 3 areas throughout the land or potentially found in treasure chests. But in this particular flag set, keys are not required, and the treasure chests that would normally contain keys have been replaced with gold, anywhere ranging from 500 to 750 at random. There's also the short Sharlock setting, which means that once our runners enter the final castle, normally you have to traverse through 7 different basements to get to the bottom. But in this case, you just start right at basement floor 7. So that makes things a little bit easier. And the experience growth is very fast, meaning the traditional version of the game, the totals will be 50% of that. And we thank you, Mr. Holmes, for addressing the update there on the Randomania network here so that we have the appropriate game lined up here, as well as the runners and folks behind the scenes, commentators, tracker, and restreamer. Which I want to take a moment here as the action kind of getting started off here as Ryguy taking a death. Our runners here, Ryguy, as well as HighSpirits, Tristal, and WillWagnerMusic. And I want to thank behind the scenes here, we've got CD Improv for the restream, CyberDark86 with the unenviable task of tracking all 4 runners here, and then Bob Ski, my co-commentator.
Yeah, so HighSpirits found a red dragon, managed to get away, healed up, and then found a second member of the Fun Police. So looks like some exploration, but then got sent right back.
Yes, and the red dragon's known in the Dragon Warrior randomizer community as the Fun Police because when they show up, the fun tends to stop. And as you see here, they have that Dragon Lord 2 breath, normally only seen by the second form of the Dragon Lord, that does anywhere from 64 to 72 hit points of damage.
And it looks like Ryguy is opting to take a reset, and he's going to initiate a gold grind. It looked like he found Remoldar with the silver shield and a flame sword, I believe. So it looks like he's going to take a little bit of a less common approach, and is going to attempt to make a gold run all the way for that.
Well, if they're able to do so, that would be a huge start, even though there's a little bit of a setback in that doing so will acquire the best weapon money combined in the case of the Flame Sword, as it adds 28 attack power to the total. And in the case of the Silver Shield, it is the best shield in the game, warranting 20 additional defense points. And I think Ryguy had a little bit of a misstep there, as the way that the glitch or gold grind is activated is that treasure chests respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limitations at the time the game was made, the game only tracks up to 8 treasure chests as open, so every chest open beyond the 8th chest can be taken over and over again. What's generally done potentially in the beginning of the game is that you open the 3 treasure chests that are in the throne room, leave the throne room, return back to the throne room as the chests are permanently marked as open so you don't take them over and over again, so that adds the total to 6, and then you open at least 2 of the treasure chests in the treasury in Tangential Castle, hoping that the 3rd chest and beyond can be taken over and over again. In the case of the gold, that means you can just essentially print money. But in Ryguy's case, having forgotten to re-enter the throne room, opened the 3 chests in the throne room, and then proceeded to open the 4 in the treasury, and that only accounted for 7.
Yeah, and while Ryguy is printing some gold, it looks like HighSpirits and WillWagnerMusic have both found one of the 2 old men in a cave with the Staff of Rain. So right now they don't have the harp to trade in for the Staff of Rain, but eventually they'll make their trek back there as part of their...
Yes, the essential items needed to access the final castle. The Staff of Rain, which you have to find the silver harp in the treasure chest and then trade it into that aforementioned old man who will give the Staff of Rain. There's also the Stones of Sunlight, which are going to be found in treasure chests throughout the land. And Erdrick's Token, which can either be in a treasure chest or in one of 3 searchable spots throughout the land. One in the town of Cole, 4 steps south of the Baths. One in the town of Hawksnest, which is guarded by an enemy. And then there is one potentially in the overworld, which coordinates to that spot are provided by an old man in the town of Cantlin. Now, as far as enemy encounters, we have seen some toughies to begin with here in the skeletons that seem to be casting the Hurtmore spell quite a bit. Meanwhile, level-wise, we've got HighSpirits already at level 6 because of the very fast experience gain. Will Wagner is at level 5, and I believe Tristal, I think I saw was either at 5 or 6. We'll see next time there's an encounter. But having found the town of Rimmeldar, trying to make that trek as well. And we've also got the town of Garenham that has, for HighSpirits, the Fairy Flute, some big bucks, and the Stones of Sunlight.
I was just about to say that we've seen a pretty decent start here with a few hard enemies, but really, really good hit point values on these level 5 and 6 even stats. So now that we've seen the Stones of Sunlight, it looks like the quest is about to begin. We'll see probably them grind up to about a level 10 before they really start to push the limits of where they can see. But that'll all depend on stat growth.
Well, HighSpirits already acquiring the Stones of Sunlight, one of the essential items. Now, the Fairy Flute is one of the 3 searchable items that can be in a treasure chest or can be in one of those 3 searchable spots. What the Fairy Flute does is it puts the enemy known as the Golem to sleep, which is one of the tougher enemies in the game, and that makes taking it out rather beneficial. So Will Wagner now back into the castle and is doing a little bit of a gold pickup and also picking up some wings as well. Those work like the return spell. And when you use them, no matter where you are in the overworld, it'll whisk you back to Tangel Castle where the start is. And what was that, a 40 hit point gain for Ryguy for level 3?
Yeah, that's what I saw. He did take 2 levels at a time, so he did get enough experience to go past the level 3 mark, and he only needs 7 more experience to get to the next.
Oh, but is going to take a death and go back to the castle at the cost of half of their gold. Thanks to the wizard not too far from the start.
The more enemies we see out of these zones, the less I envy having to walk through them.
And now here is Tristal getting to level 4. And with level 4 having acquired the Hurt spell, although it's kind of a moot point already having the Flame Sword, which will already do considerably more damage.
I didn't notice if HighSpirits checked the cave on the backside of Garenham. Did you happen to see?
In looking here, I can't say that I did, and I was attempting to get the replay and wasn't able to get it up in time. But I'm sure our runners will all have to make their way back to there, so we will recheck that once one of our runners is able to get there. And oh, Tristal finding out that the red dragon has that Dragon Lord 2 breath. And yes, McGrew, there be dragons. McGrew noting that in chat. A little shout out to McGrew, as McGrew is the Frankenstein of this particular randomizer, the creator of Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and greatly appreciate the fun that he has helped manifest here, he among many others.
And Mr. Holmes in chat is noting that the swamp cave backdoored into Garingham, so thank you for...
Yeah, certainly a lot going on in a very short period of time here. So with 4 different screens going on, there is certainly a lot to pay attention to all in one go, as a blue dragon now taking out Ryguy. Meanwhile, HighSpirits going to level 8.
It looks like HighSpirits likes the wyverns in that zone and really wants to get a few levels for pretty low amount of time spent in that zone.
Indeed, those wyverns giving, I believe it's 64 experience. That'll allow our runners to advance very quickly here in the early stages. So Tristal now in Rimmeldarn is upgrading to a half plate. As Ryguy now in the back of Tangential Castle is going to go into the Tablet Cave, pick up an herb. Meanwhile, HighSpirits doing some exploring and running into some mid-range enemies. Is looking to get to 650 experience to get to level 9, and that's where HS will acquire the Radiant spell, which will light caves a little bit more detailed. And now Will Wagner finding Garinham, and was looking to legit open the door to the treasure chest. We've all done that at some point. But now acquires the Fairy Flute as well as the Stones of Sunlight and some big bucks, and Tristal going to do the same here. And now the navigation to the back. Well, Tristal going to opt against it here, and Will Wagner running into a wizard. Able to run away from it. And we have a question in chat: who's leading right now and why? That is an excellent question. In terms of experience, HighSpirits is leading. And in terms of exploration, I would say it's pretty even among our runners, as they all have the same findable items. There's a slight defense advantage, of more than slight, to Ryguy and Tristal, as they both have the Silver Shield, the best shield in the game, as HS taking a death, as does Will Wagner.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Ryguy can make up the experience gap that he created with his reset for the gold grind. But HighSpirits hasn't really seen anything that anyone else has, despite his huge experience lead relative to the amount of time we've...
Well, that being said, Ryguy already catching up and actually taking an experienced lead over Tristal. And a very interesting point in chat by Mr. Holmes, the 2016 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Standard Tournament champion, noting that there's a possibility that Ryguy and Tristal could take a lead midway through the game, as because of their higher defense, they'll be able to withstand the damage of some of the higher level enemies a little bit earlier, and that could vault them ahead potentially.
And Ryguy looks like he might be the first one to enter Cantlin here, and he's going to go and talk to the wizard behind the locked doors to figure out where you can search.
If there is a searchable spot to find. So if the old man says, thou must go and fight, that means there are no coordinates. And if it says, thou must go and search, then the coordinates that are given are going to be however many paces from the castle in 2 cardinal directions. And no coordinates this time around. Now, the reason that there's that variance is we did mention that the Fairy Flute and Erdrick's Token could potentially be in treasure chests. So if one of those items is in a treasure chest, then one of those 3 searchable spots will not have anything. So in this case, at least the Fairy Flute having been found in the treasure chest in the town of Garenham, that potentially could have taken the spot for what otherwise would have been the overworld search spot. So no coordinates this time around. And McGrew, much appreciated on the Martha and the Vandellas reference. Nowhere to run to, nowhere to hide. The Alan Heffley picking up on it as well. As a radio DJ in real life, I always appreciate old school lyric references.
Yeah, it looks like the experience gap is closing slightly here, as HighSpirits is now doing their own gold grind to presumably probably go purchase a flame sword and maybe the silver shield. We'll see. Well, gold over 20,000 is going to have a silver shield.
And on Ryguy's side, we have found the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave, which this time around has big bucks. Which, given a lot of what has been purchased, is almost more of a whammy in this case.
The Warlock shows that it has Dragon Lord 2 breath. But Ryguy manages to tank right through it with 1 hit point and get the experience.
Sometimes 1 hit point is all you need. And this is a brutal series of enemies along this particular path Ryguy's taking. Blue dragons, demon knights. I mean, these are all upper level enemies that they're running into at level 7.
Yeah, this would be a very different seed if they didn't have so many hit points at this early level.
Well, HighSpirits now catching up in terms of equipment, purchasing a flame sword, adding a total of 28 attack points to their base strength, and the silver shield, which adds 20 defense points to the base defense. And Amazing Toaster asking, these stones and flute available from the get-go? Both were found in the town of Garenham. To take a moment to talk about the league here as our runners are making their exploration. The first place finisher this afternoon will receive 5 points in the league. The second place finisher, 3. The third place finisher 2, and the fourth place finisher will receive 1 point. And Tristal finding the town of Hawk's Nest, the abandoned town that is just reft with enemies everywhere, including a guardian enemy that is on a spike tile, meaning you can encounter it over and over again, and could potentially be a good place to grind later in the seed to quickly acquire experience. And Bobski, you did mention that the experience gap's starting to close a little bit. 392 now for Will, Tristal in the low 400s, 377 for Ryguy, and 546 for HighSpirits. So only about 170 experience difference, and there are some enemies in the game that can give more than that. So this is very much anybody's game here. It's still extremely even.
And HighSpirits just finding out that there is no search spot. So that could be a relief, or it could be... it could mean that we have to go and brave the dangerous enemies on the spike tiles. So we'll see how that pans out.
Well, at this point, our runners are ideally looking for the town of Cole, as Cole has a searchable spot that doesn't require an enemy encounter. And our runners are still looking for Erdrick's Token and Erdrick's Armor. Erdrick's Armor, the best armor in the game, and arguably the best armor in all of RPG history. Not only does it give 28 defense points, but for every step that you walk, you gain or you heal 1 hit point of damage. Also, it completely negates the spell of Stop Spell if an enemy casts it. Your damage is reduced by 1/3 on the Hurt or Hurt More spells that are cast, as well as the Fire Breath that is done, either the traditional Fire Breath or the Dragon Lord 2 Breath. Plus, on top of that, you take no damage in either the Swamp or Barrier tiles. So normally if you walk through a Swamp tile, you lose 2 hit points, or take 2 hit points of damage. If you walk through a Barrier tile, as our runners were doing to try to speak to the old man in Cantlin, that's 15 hit points of damage per step. But that is completely negated with Erdrick's Armor.
And now Tristal has taken the experience lead, doing a little bit of grinding in the desert just northeast of Garenham. That's what I saw as well, Smash. Yeah, it was 4600. I think it was 4600. And so first to level 9 is Tristal.
And Mr. Holmes noting in chat, Wizards absolutely should be fought right now, especially with their Stop Spell. 120 experience is fantastic. As, yes, the Wizards casting Stop Spell quite a bit, or at least having the possibility to. They're not exactly, they're fairly strong, but they only have 49 to 65 hit points of damage, which our runners at this point can probably 2 or 3 shot, be able to withstand the damage, and yes, 120 apiece. That's quickly moving HighSpirits now up to level 9 as well, hitting that target number of 650. And now HighSpirits picking up some additional gold, which at this point, unless HS is going to grind up to 7,700 to upgrade to the magic armor, or maybe even 3,000 to upgrade to the full plate armor, that's really the only major ticket item that still requires purchasing. As you see the statistics being laid up at the moment, the agility on the high side, the strength not quite as high, the hit points, they're a little above average for this particular level set, as now Ryguy going up to level 9 as well. And Z-Man, you are right. Strength is considerably low for, 38 at level 9. That is well under what...
To 17 for the heal with low strength. Do defense break the board, but we're going to go to 17 and see what the values look like there. If strength is still low, we could see...
And has been noted in the past, we've already seen this week a steed that's gone up to level 21. Now, so HS back into Cantlin. Stay at the end. Tristal taking a death, and Ryguy taking on and taking out a Wraith Knight for a big 72 experience. Up to 869. We'll have to see how that compares to the other runners. So that catch-up is in place here as Ryguy now with the experience lead and running into a Metal Slime. Oh, but it has hurt more.
Yeah, those Metal Slimes don't look very...
And Mr. Holmes crunching the numbers, as Holmes is known to do, stating that Wraith Knights seem to be the best value as far as a defeatable enemy in terms of relation to it. A red dragon, as Tristal is finding out, is not, as Tristal trying to get away from that particular enemy. We see here in the swamp cave, it's the golem, the guardian enemy of the princess. Not that we're going to see a princess rescue by any means, as did. And utilizing that fairy flute, Will Wagner taking the roughly 8 seconds to put the golem to sleep. And is going to heal up and take a couple of swipes and see if the golem can be taken down. But oof, 9, 14 at a time. This one's going to be a little rough.
The golem having somewhere between 115 and 153 hit points is not going to be very accessible at this attack power.
It's going to be a very long battle that all it takes is a couple of attacks, and it may not go so well here. And Smashy noting that Ryguy is now going to level 10, but is in Garen's Grave, which has 5 different treasure chests. So Ryguy the first to level 10, 214 agility, so that's going to be an additional 7 defense. That'll be huge. And let's see what we have in the treasure chest here. We've got some big bucks. We've got a cursed belt. And some big bucks. And we've also got Wraith Knights, which are going to be very helpful for advancing when an item, searchable items, the fairy token, if they're not in a chest, they're replaced with one of those cursed. Found the flute in a treasure chest, and we have the 1 cursed belt found. That means that both remaining spots, the searchable spots, one in Hawksnest and one in the town of Cole, both of those spots are going to be required, so there is going to be a fight with the Guardian enemy in Hawksness. WillWagnerMusic, meanwhile, able to take out the Golem and leap up to level 10 as well. All four of our runners now at level 10, a roughly 100 experience lead for Ryguy. And we have a fire-breathing Axe Knight. So HS hot on the trail in the grave, and we've got a torch midway through. And yes, most Dragon Warrior players, if they've played any game higher than the original Dragon Warrior, they're used to opening the treasure chest by searching it. But in this game, they kept it a little bit more simple in that you have to take the contents. So Will now going after another Golem. As HS starting to creep up on the experience lead with a series of Wyverns.
And Ryguy is working his way down to the last chest in the grave. Finding a couple enemies that he doesn't want to fight. Those blue dragons keep popping up, and he keeps running.
Also, no resources at this point as well. The spell of Radiant using the last of the MP, and big bucks deep in the grave. So by process of elimination, with everything we've found, this guarantees that the Silver Harp, one of the key items that our runners need, is in the mountain cave. And Smashy, yes, based on the information, considering that there are 3 treasure chests with gold, one with a torch and one with a cursed belt. Yes, going through Garen's grave is a huge time sink. So the rest of the runners are making their way through and fighting the enemies at a pretty decent clip. Will Wagner now able to catch up thanks to the 255 max experience taking out a Golem. But you have to wonder how much is there in terms of time to take out the Golem. You know, does the end justify the means at this point? And there's a huge casting of Stop Spell, but oof, the Wizard's still a little tough to handle at this point. And it doesn't look like the Wizard casting that Stop Spell all that often.
Just often enough for Will Wagner, though, as he does make it out of that fight. It's a little slower than I think he wanted, but it's still good experience, and it takes him to the...
Yeah, so on level 11, having 12, 1, 12, and 6 as far as the gains. And here's the Town of Coal for Ryguy, so we're going to see which key item it is. It's Erdrick's Token. So that means that Erdrick's armor is guarded by an enemy in Hawksness.
And Ryguy also taking a short trip around Sharlock, the endgame castle, where he will be returning once he has found all his...
There's still a little bit to go with that, and it'll change when you carry the princess. And Will Wagner, not really sure why the princess is being rescued here, unless Will unfamiliar with the very fast experience levels and not really sure how much is needed to go from one level to the next. Rescue, which is a bittersweet thing in that you are able to find out your location in comparison to the castle. More important when a runner needs to find the coordinates, and the princess can let the runner know how much experience is needed to the next level, which may be more crucial as in the chaos format. The experience needed to go from one level to the next is randomized. And Wagner in and out of, as Z-Man so eloquently puts in chat, oh look, Breckenary. Or actually, I didn't say that with enough disinterest. It's more of, oh look, Breckenary.
So it looks to me like HighSpirits has regained his slight edge on experience, sitting down to grind on some good enemies here and taking him to level 12 with a huge 17. I also thought I saw a double-digit strength, but I might have misseen that.
No, you were correct. 13 strength gain at level 12.
That seems to be the stat that they're going to be really looking at as they come up towards level 17. These have been really good, and they've gotten some good gains recently. But they really want to be hitting just a little bit harder to be able to grind, and also to be able to have a chance against the Dragon.
Yeah, the strength is usually a winning factor. Plus, our runners at level 12 also get the spell of will allow them to go outside of the caves in a very rapid fashion at just the cost of 6 magic points. Now, that won't help Tristal here, as Tristal is just down to 1 M, but is also fighting some enemies along the way and is only trailing HS in experience by about 120 at the...
And a nearly simultaneous cave entry there by Ryguy and HighSpirits. And they have both found a mountain cave, so the race is on to get the heart.
Oh, but there's a red dragon on Ryguy's side. Able to get away.
Unlucky, and the Fun Police also show up for HighSpirits, but HighSpirits gets a run on the first turn, but there's a second chance for the Fun Police.
Oh, and a Dragon Lord 2 Breath for max roll of 72 leaves HS with 1 hit point, and then an unsuccessful attack, and the Red Dragons do what they do. That's why they are known as the Fun Police. They just ended the fun for both Ryguy and HighSpirits.
So we will just have to wait to find out where that silver
And that's the other thing. How deep will they explore? Or I think that they'll still more than likely full clear the mountain cave, as one of the items that is yet to be found, sword, the best weapon in the game. It is a 12 attack point upgrade from the flame swords that all 4 runners currently have. And at this point, Erdrick's sword can only be in one of the 12 remaining treasure chests, the 5 that are in the mountain cave or the 7 that are in Charlotte Castle. Will and Tristal, both in the 2200 experience range. Both looking to get to 2750 to get to level 13. A little bit just shy of 2000, and both Tristal and Will trailing HS by about 100 experience. Level 12 now for Ryguy, as HS is in Hawksnest, but there's our friend the Red Dragon, but he's able to get away. Enemies in Hawksnest are brutal. The Red Dragons do have Dragon Lord 2 Breath, so when they're not attacking and hitting you like a Mack truck, then they're going to burn you for anywhere from 64 to 72 hit points of damage. And we have learned that the Guardian, right behind that tree, that's where the Erdrick's armor is. Who is guarding it? We'll find out in a matter of seconds. It is a golem. So comes on both the Hawksnest spike tile and the Swamp Cave spike tile.
And Ryguy discovered that there was a wolf in the Hawksnest enemy set as well. So one good enemy in a group of enemies that will definitely...
Still getting burninated by the Red Dragon and getting sent back to Angel Castle. And now we have dueling golem fights, and HS able to take out the golem and is the first to acquire Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game. And without the bad news that there are no coordinates in this seed.
And Ryguy having to a couple times as the golem is woken up on. But he finally takes care of it and gets his 255 experience and the air.
Both very suitable prizes here, and Ryguy wanting nothing to do with that Axe Knight. Which I believe we saw earlier had the spell of Heal More. Oh, and HS finding out that the Metal Slime has hurt more, and they're so hard to run away from, but HS is able to do so. And now Will Wagner, having taken on some of those big tough enemies here, while trailing at least a little bit in exploration, but not super duper much here, is right up there with a experience separating the two, and now that's going to be 185 with the Blue Dragon defeat, and that's now going to send Wagner up to level 13, 1, 1, 13, and 4 of return. Ryguy taking a death back to the king, being informed that they need the Julius Irving 444 to go up to the next level. And here's HS and Cole, so HighSpirits going to get the token. And for those just joining us, welcome here to Randomania. This is the last of our Week 1 Dragon Warrior Randomizer League races for this week. Alongside Bobski, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and this has been a way through. As far as the essential items, the Stones of Sunlight were in the town of Garenham, along with the Fairy Flute. Erdrick's armor was guarded by a golem in Hawk's Nest. Erdrick's token was inside the town of Cole. We have yet to find Erdrick's sword, but we know that it is in one different chest, either the 7 in Sharlock or the 5 in the Mountain Cave. We know that the Silver Harp is in the Mountain Cave, though none of our runners have acquired it as of yet. Find the Mountain Cave, but they were quickly met by a Dragon Lord Chew Breath breathing red dragon, and that sent them back, and they have not yet made their way to the Mountain Cave.
And all of our runners here are taking fights, dispatching with his axe. HighSpirits with another Axe Knight, and Will Wagner working on that valuable but hard to kill.
Oh no, and HighSpirits with the dodge, the Kaisha Negata, but still able to take out the Axe Knight. Threshold. The next target number in terms of levels is 3750, level 14. And HS is back in the Mountain Cave, and there's the Red Dragon, and able to run away on the first attempt. So we're finally going to see the first treasure chest is some big bucks. Second baseman. But at least with Erdrick's armor on both Ryguy and HS's side, negates the damage of the fire breath by though that gets reduced to 42 to 48 hit points of damage. Potentially survive. So now we have the Silver Harp. It has been found with fairy water next to it that works like the repel spell.
That's check, and I think HighSpirits might be deciding whether to go after these last two chests, and I would imagine they will. Just knowing that the Erdrick sword could be just across the room should really be a motivator for them.
Well, there's the wings, so if it is in the Mountain Cave, it's going to its chest. If not, then it'll be found in a thankfully short Sharlock. That is the advantage here of this particular flag set, is that once you enter Sharlock Castle, you don't have to traverse through the first 6 basements. You can go right down to the 7th basement, and you have the 6 treasure chests there. And there's a conveniently placed staircase that goes right to where the 7th chest
and it is the... Yes, indeed. And Tristal might actually... this department right here, as Tristal is working their way through the mountain cave. Just a few more to the safer enemy category downstairs.
The Tristal having found that. Now, in terms of experience, Will Wagner has taken the extremely low on resources, able to just barely take out the Demon Knight. And is going to opt to cast or utilize the wings. And HS finding the cave, also known as if you don't have all of the essential items needed, the Erdrick's token, the old man will kick you out of the cave like the jerk that he is. And in this case, HighSpirits is looking for the Staff of Rain Cave. So there is the Silver Harp on the side. And HS has found a cave. Trip over to the Rainbow Drop Cave, also known as the Jerk Cave. I'm going to stop over to Breckenary and top off the hit points and magic points. And Tristal also picking up air. So once it acquires the Rainbow Drop, it's essentially grind and go time.
And HighSpirits is going to check the grind tile here in the Swamp Cave. So the enemy they were hoping for, but not a terrible enemy as soon as you get the air... a little bit extra damage. It gets more and more accessible as they get more and more strength.
Now, a potential strategy also that'll be interesting to see if any of our runners attempt to utilize is normally you don't even think about the third spike tile, which is the boss for the Dragon Lord, just before you enter that brick path. However, with Short Sharlock, it's not that far of a walk. I believe it's fairly close to Tanager Castle from what we saw. So there is the possibility that there may be a grind on whatever is the mini-boss of the Dragon Lord. Now, if it turns out that the spike tile in Sherlock is, say, a red dragon, then yes, the golem would be the lesser of two evils, or dare I say, the evil of two lesser.
And Will Wagner, just a minute or two, his way to get the Erdrick's armor under that golem. He did fight the Stone Man and just barely survived there. He was having some problems keeping the Stone Man to sleep.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes the sleep spell works more like a nap spell. And HS back in the Swamp Cave and has found the Red Dragon once again. but is able to take it out, get the 255. So experience-wise, HS and Will Wagner both at level 14. Ryguy and Tristal not too far behind at level 13, but only about 250, maybe 300 hit points away, or experience points away, I should say, from level 14.
And there's a question in chat of where the sword was. It was in the final chest in Mountain Cave here. So you'll see Ryguy get to it in just a little.
But first, a little bit of a detour north to acquire the Silver Harp. Yeah, the chests in the Mountain Cave were gold, and then the two adjacent chests were the Fairy Water and the Silver Harp, as acquired now by Ryguy. The wings were in the southeastern chest, and the deepest chest contained Erdrick's sword. Now, fans, don't forget, at the conclusion of the race here, once the totals have been determined, we have the randomized drawing and seeding as far as week 2, who will be facing off among our 40 runners. So to see what potential matchups will be coming up over you'll want to stay tuned here to Randomania.
And I just caught the stat gain on level 14 when Ryguy just got it, and there was 22 strength. So they did get some of that sorely needed strength, but they're still going to need just a little bit, as they all work their way up to 8,000 experience and level 17 when they learn Heal More.
And then that's where the abacus and calculators come out here, but you can see the stats pretty much all in orange here, except for the defense on 3 runners here, as they want to get to a minimum of 8. And Z-Man noting in chat, and I'd like to think to agree, get to 17, it is time to take on the Dragon Lord, as all the other statistics are extremely close.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Any of the runners, the Death Necklace. I don't believe we found it previously. And if they opt to go search the treasury in Sharlock for it.
Look over my chart here. The Death Necklace has not yet been found, so it is in Sharlock Fighter's Ring. The Fighter's Ring, once you put it on, it adds 2 attack points to your total. And in the case of the Death Necklace, once you put it on, it's a cursed item, but it's programmed here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer to give you an additional 10 attack points, but at the cost of 25% of your maximum hit points. Search the 7 remaining treasure chests. And wow, did I see that right? 31 hit points gained at level 15.
That does appear to be the case for HighSpirits, reaching a maximum hit points of 160. And we have seen the experience gap widen a little bit here as everyone kind of accelerates towards that end game. 2 of the players kind of focusing on a grind. HighSpirits doing a little bit of an unconventional one, just walking the north side of Swamp Cave potentially.
Well, there are some wizards, which at this point HighSpirits is able to damage break, And I know we've referenced that a couple of times here, but damage breaking or defense breaking, that's when your defense points are the same as or higher than an enemy's strength, and a different attack range is calculated, resulting in less damage, and in some cases, even 0 hit points, known as a miss. And to answer Z-Man's question in chat, we have seen the Rainbow Drop Cave. HighSpirits did find it earlier. However, HS still had to go and acquire the Staff of Rain before trading everything in and has not been back since.
And Will Wagner is currently on the last chest of the Grave of Garenham, and I believe he's just going to find big bucks there. But he's hoping to find the Harper, which we know is not there.
And the Wizard grind here, quickly getting HS to level 16, 2, 4, 3, and 7, the totals here, and 131 attack power, 90 defense.
With HighSpirits checking how many herbs they have, I think they might be going to Sharlock here to check what the grind looks like.
It could very well be go time, and I do see that in chat, Mr. Holmes, I'm not sure if it was facetious or not, was saying to go after metal slimes. Now, 132 is the minimum attack power needed to guarantee 1 hit point of damage and even increase to 2, potentially. Have a range of 1 to 2 on the metal slimes. So that further increases your chances of pretty much taking out, but when, as Holmes now noting, when you only need 1,500 experience to get to level 17, there isn't really a need to grind, so it may just be a matter of taking that trek over to Sharlock Castle, perhaps going in to get that additional attack boost, either from the Death Necklace and or the Fighter's Ring.
With the hit points the way they are, it almost seems like a free 10 attack power.
Given how high the hit points are, that certainly is the case, and a programming note here, as on the Randomania networks, we've got quite a bit for you here. At 7:15 this evening, a little over an hour from now, over on Randomania 2, is going to be the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past Randomizer Challenge Cup. And then something that has certainly been a favorite in recent years, at least the last couple of years here, right here on Randomania, just a little over 3 hours from now, is going to be the Legend of Zelda 1 Randomizer Groundhog Day race. Yes, very similar to the Bill Murray movie from more years ago than I'd like to recollect. And now I'm hurting because I just recollected 26 years ago. But yes, despite the Red Dragon's interventions, the fun will not stop here among the Randomania networks. And also, there are back-to-back races coming up this evening at 7 and 8:30 p.m. on the Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer race. So make sure to hold on to your Tanuki suits for that one. And both of those on the programming note are on Randomania 3. And CD, yes, I feel the age experience levels going as I recollect as well, as I was in a level in the teens, as opposed to now where I'm well into level 30-somethings, and we'll just leave it at that. As Tristal has now found the Rainbow Drop Cave and is trading everything in and has acquired the Rainbow Drop. So perhaps we'll see Tristal making a dive into Charlotte Castle here to acquire the last little bits of experience.
And now Will Wagner is making the mountain cave trip, braving the red dragon. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's not swinging at that 160 hit point level, but either way, he'll make it to the bottom and find himself the harp and the Erdrick sword if he checks all the chests.
And now 70 minutes and change in, we have our first placement of the Rainbow Drop, and Tristal is going to be the first to take that bridge over troubled water and is making a beeline for that treasury. So we have a fairy water. We have the death necklace in the bottom middle, the 100 chest. And immediately dons the death necklace. So there's the torch. We've got some big bucks. There's the fighter's ring. And it's going to drop a torch in exchange for it. It's going to put on that fighter's ring. So that should bump Tristal up here to 141 attack power. So on the Dragon Lord 2 fight, it's going to be a damage range of anywhere from 10 to 20 per hit. And again, the Dragon Lord has anywhere from 150 to 165 hit points. So there is that range. And HighSpirits opting not to go over to the treasury.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice, but I think we'll see how that plays out. HighSpirits does have about 1,000-point experience lead, only 437 away from level 17, so might just be looking to take advantage of a couple extra doubles, hoping for some more strength on the level up, and just going right at the draw.
So this looks to be the difference here. Will the experience differential, as Tristal now having to fight through that, able to take on some of the more tolerable enemies like the Star Wyverns, which are great at this point, as the most damage that a Star Wyvern would be able to do here to any of our runners. I mean, it's not too terribly much here. I mean, for Star Wyverns, you're looking at anywhere from 0 to 15 hit points of damage that you'd be taking. So now, we've got the Axe Knights as the guardian enemy. And it looks like Tristal is utilizing this run to acquire as much experience as possible, is blowing through the magic points. Not that there's a whole lot of them.
Yeah, it looks like Tristal's expecting to take the short trip outside to the city that I believe was Remolder, to go to the inn before making the dive.
And now we have level 17 for HS. It's going to utilize an herb, and we've got the battle here, 137, so you're looking at a damage range of 9 to 18 with 9 heal mores. So let's see if HS can take it here. Oh, and we've got a back attack. I'll admit I did have a bit of a buffering issue, so I was not able to see the totals here, so I don't have a count on HS's side.
I was also having an issue with the commentary, so I am just as in the dark as you are, but it looks like HighSpirits is a shoe-in on this.
Well, he has a nice high roll there of 17, has now 2 heal mores to go. So, depending on what the roll is of the hit points for the Dragon Lord, if it's a low roll, then yes, this is as free as can be, and he hits for 9, and he does it. So, HighSpirits is going to take first place in this race, and is going to get a crucial 5 points here in week 1 of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer League. Get out your GGs in chat if you have not already, as HighSpirits is going to take first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 16 minutes, and 47 seconds. So now Ryguy working on the Axe Knight here and looks to be doing an Axe Knight grind. As Tristal now gonna take things out here, and yes, with 125 maximum hit points, 149 attack power, that's gonna be a range of 12 to 24 on the Dragon Lord. Plus with the 97 MP, yes, barring any miss menu, this is going to be beyond free.
And I believe that was a 2-shot on the first form of the Dragon Lord there. Hit right through the hurt more, didn't bother using a nerf.
Oh gosh, 52, yeah, this is, well, no back attack, thankfully. We've got 24 to start off with a max roll. And able to get a double for 17, so that's 41 for the total. Going to use one of the heal mores here. Another 20, so that's 61. So we'll at least see how tough the Dragon Lord was here. Another 18 for 79. Another heal more, and up to 92 for Tristal. And 18 brings us to 110. Still ample heal mores here. 124 now. Now again, the Dragon Lord has a range of 150 to 165. Another 17 makes 141. So we'll see about this last one here. 22, that's 163, so it definitely rolled high. And 186 will definitely do it. And we have HighSpirits joining us here in chat. Congratulations and GG.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk a little bit about the early portion of the season. Well, I was gonna say before we even get into that, how not fun were the fun police, the Red Dragon?
They weren't too bad considering I just did a seed a few hours ago where the Red Dragons had Dragon Lord Breath and Asleep. So these ones weren't that bad, except for getting out of the cave was kind of fun. That required basically a lot of luck.
All right, and the accolades have been given. Tristal is going to take second place and 3 points here with an official SRL time, just 3 minutes and 2 seconds trailing HighSpirits at 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 49 seconds. And oh no, speaking of the fun police, the Red Dragons taking out Ryguy in Charlotte Castle and sending him back to the start.
He did need to refill his magic, but that's not an ideal time to take. HighSpirits, how did you feel about your run today?
I felt good actually. I was kind of irked that I did the gold grind and then I step through the cave. I take 5 seconds later, and oh look, there's a town with magic armor. I thought about resetting and just gold grinding up to magic armor, but I was like, nah. It wasn't worth trying to go through that cave again just to get magic armor. I think once you got through the cave, I found that nice grind just west of Garingham right there, and that was able to get me Wraith Knights and Wyverns, and I was able to gain some few levels there, and that really helped me get through the season.
It did seem that the key early on, as was noted in chat, was the Wyverns and the Wraith Knights. Those seem to be the roughly level 5, level 6 enemies that just started to take you off to the races.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what got me going. And we got a lot of health from that, so that was enough health to get through doing the search. And then I went into Garingham's grave, and I was thinking, do I really want to dive to the bottom of this? I mean, I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I decided, you know what? This first floor has so many good experienced enemies on it. My goal was to try to hit level 12 before I left, so if I did die anywhere, I could just cast outside and not have to deal with the Red Dragons anymore.
And we'll get back to the interview in a second. We're seeing simultaneous coal-in trips by both Will Wagner and Ryguy, preparing to fight the Dragon Lord. Both just recently got level 17, and they're going to be very, very...
Looks like nice and close for third place.
And I do have to wonder now, Will was the only racer to acquire the princess, so I wonder if that differential may come into play.
I was thinking about that earlier, and the penalty is something like 8 seconds. It's almost like a fairy flute, but a little bit longer. It's all going to be on encounters right now. Will had a great walk through the first half of the floor. Ryguy not able to get really out of the entryway, and facing a red dragon has to burn a heal more.
We'll have to keep peripheral on this here as things develop as we're working through our racers here. So HS getting the 5 points here. What's your comfort level now heading into week 2, which is something that seems to be your baby here in terms of Chaos Seeds, which of course you did win the Chaos tournament last year, the inaugural Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos tournament.
I think it's going to be a lot easier because it is Chaos, but we also have short Charlock and no keys, so we have a lot of chests available to us to get off to a start, and it should make the starts much easier. And then if you take away Chaos out of Charlock, you take away the Drakies everywhere that slaughter you because they all seem to roll Dragon Lord Breath and Sleep.
It certainly should be interesting. And again, at the conclusion of this race here, we will have the draws as far as the matchups for week 2 coming up here. And Meanwhile, we've got Tristal joining us here in chat as well. GG on the very close second place here. What's your take here on this? So we have some audio issues here with Tristal at the moment.
Sorry about that. I got them fixed.
He's a man of very few words.
You know that's not true. Yeah, GG. My thoughts on the seed were I had some really bad luck. I did end up resetting around 8 minutes in, either 8 to 10 minutes in, to gold grind again because I found Rimmeldar to the west of South Swamp, and that had Flame Sword and Silver Shield. So I figured if I could make that trek, then it would be totally worth it. Because at the time I reset, I only had like 60 experience, so that was basically nothing anyway.
Yeah, when I left the castle, I found I had just enough. I had 1,801 gold, so I was able to run over to Breckenary and get a broadsword and chainmail, and that was able to get me plenty of early experience.
Yeah, I just kept running into just horrible luck with things throughout my whole seed. The beginning enemies weren't very kind, with skeletons having sleep and hurt more, and just so many things ready to kill you. And then you had to have the choke point swamp cave with red dragons in it that also breathed dragon breath. So all of that was just a tough one to get through.
I think I got a little lucky because the first few skeletons I came across didn't use sleep on me, so I was able to take them down. And then they just kept using sleep on me.
And Will Wagner manages to outlast the Dragon Lord 2 and is going to visit the king, and it looks like he's going to take third place here.
Yeah, just finishing up not too long after Ryguy starting the battle with Dragon Lord 2. So even with the addition of the princess, it is close, but it looks like there's going to be a difference of probably about a minute between Will and Ryguy. Maybe somewhere between 60 and 90 seconds, I would say. And we do have the official finish here. Will did finish in third place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 51 seconds. Just a hair under 10 minutes behind HS. Or a hair over, I should say. 10 minutes and 4 seconds behind HS. So Ryguy down to 1 heal more. And hits for a huge 22, and that's going to do it for Ryguy. So a very close seed, as chat early on had an assessment the way things were starting to line out about a half hour ago that would probably be a less than 15-minute differential between all of our racers, and that looks to have come to fruition here, as Ryguy going to finish with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 13 seconds. So about an 11.5-minute differential between first and fourth place.
Yeah, that was a rough encounter set for Ryguy there on the last floor of Sharlock. He entered Sharlock first and then got more encounters than Will Wagner, as Will worked his way to the dragon.
And it looks like Will starting again. I hope Will doesn't realize that this isn't a best 2 out of 3.
No, Will is just playing around with the beginning. He typed that in IRC.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure Will didn't put something in that was unexpected here in this case.
Now we got to speed run it now that we know what's coming.
I figure New Game Plus would be like 35 minutes.
Oh, I could do it a lot quicker than that. What did you grind on at the end for experience?
So I did golems from 13 to 16 or something. Whenever I got the armor, I pretty much just stayed there. Then once I ran out of resources, went to Garenham. I knew I still had to get the Silver Harp turned into Staff of Rain and then do that whole thing. Then walked up and I got 17 inside Charlock, cast outside, healed up, went back in and crushed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I grinded till 16, and then I had to get the rainbow drop still, and I knew that was far away, so I got the 17 on the Guardian.
Yeah, I had mapped it all already, so I knew I could just get the rainbow drop kind of on the way to Charlock.
Well, GG, dude. Good luck in the next rounds.
Yeah, GG. Crush it in chaos.
Oh yeah, we got chaos coming. If only me and Tristal get put in the same group again.
I'll get my revenge, that's fine.
Maybe.
Probably not.
It is great to see the friendly, tongue-in-cheek banter that goes on when it comes to past, not quite rivalries, but friendly rivalries, I suppose. As these two runners among the top runners in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and have certainly had more than their fair share of races both in and out of tournament play.
Cool. Thanks for announcing, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and listen to the post-game show. Listen to the reveal.
Sounds like a plan. We're looking forward to it and going to see how things go. But first we have Ryguy joining us here in chat, in the Discord chat, I should say. Ryguy, GG, and a heck of an effort, and certainly nothing to be ashamed of, with a very close 4th place finish.
Right now, Ryguy is muted, so we'll wait for him to unmute himself and then hear his answer.
It's that whole self-censorship thing.
A man of many words, as we can see.
I mean, we're all just very modest. I am the most modest.
The modest est. Got it. Well, as we await the audio issues here to be rectified, to go over the results of the first week here. So as far as our first place racers here joining HS into the mix, we've got Shubinator, Game Boy F9, Eternal Newbie, Beta Strep, Amazing Toaster, Zarnax. We've got Max, as well as Tilo, Mr. Holmes, and Jackamus. Certainly all goodies here. And Ryguy, we got you with us here? Still working on it. Okay. As far as our second place finishers, all with 3 points, we have a lengthy tie between Ouijawee, Chitin619, Janus, Brysulf, Angry Larry, Ursine, Melee Wizard, Lord of the Synth, Captain Green, Basp, and that also would be Trista would be in the mix there. Among our lengthy tie for third place with 2 points, we've got Will Wagner from this seat here, as well as the Seawolf, Ryusation, my co-commentator here, Bobski. We've got Centroid, Ali Gerbrap, Smashy, and Jake Hoper. And then those in a tie for fourth would be with 1 point apiece. We've got Ryguy here, as well as the Alan Heffley, Ikbin, Cyan, CD Improv, our restreamer here, as well as Link Force, Brax, Tyrannex, Hangry Canuck, and Empty Eye. 1 point, he loves it. So with the totals in cap here, we'll see if we can get a word here from Ryguy. If we're still having the issues, we may have to make our way to the draw, as we are going to see what the matchups are going to be for the second week. And we'll go over what the flags are going to be, as that'll certainly be a new set of interesting developments here.
Yeah, and week 2 will bring us an interesting flag set. It will still feature the no keys like this week did, and short Shylock. Very fast experience, but it will be chaos. So many things random.
So yes, the difference is between this week and next week's flags. Well, first off, the spells are going to be back to being learned at random. So that means that the runners can acquire the spells in any randomized order, but they are guaranteed to learn all 10 spells by level 16. So there's the possibility that Hurtmore, for example, which is acquired at level 19 here in this vanilla run, could be acquired as early as level 1 or 2, or as late as level 15 or 16, or anywhere in between. Now, additionally, the flag set as far as chaos, there are a few additional things that are randomized along with this particular set that we've seen here. Most notably, the enemy statistics are randomized. So the hit points, the strength, the agility, the amount of gold given, and the amount of experience earned for each enemy, that is all randomized in chaos. Additionally, the amount of experience needed to gain or to go to another level is randomized along the way. So it'll still be under a very fast algorithm, but you don't know whether it could be 10 experience, 100 experience, 1,000 experience, or anything in between to go from one level to the next. And also, and this is one of my fun favorites, the weapon and armor shop prices are randomized. So you can see the bamboo pole, which normally costs 10 gold and gives you 2 attack power. You could see it for over 11,000 gold. Or you could see the silver shield, the best shield in the game, normally costing 14,800 for the low price of 2 gold. And anything and everything in between, as we have seen in the past.
I think it'll be interesting to see what values people choose for a potential blind gold grind at the start of next week's keyless seed.
That certainly is one of many factors, so we shall see how that all goes here. And Ryguy, at least still with us here in the Discord. Do we have the audio issues good to go for you here? Alrighty, I believe that the silence tends to unfortunately answer that question, so I believe that we are set to move on here, and we are going to get the roll going here. If CD Improv can assist with the technical specifics of that here, we'll be able to get that going for you here in a matter of moments, and we'll be able to analyze and assess as we go along here. So a little bit of the production inner workings here. I will admit that when it comes to the technical aspects of things, I am almost like Abe Simpson from The Simpsons. I am the old man that yells at Cloud. So this is the shuffling aspect. It was not brought to my attention how many times they are to be shuffled. So is this the final determination here? It looks to be the case. So our first matchup here is going to be... Okay, so it was 8, just as in the first round here. So we have to start off with Ouija as well as Tilo Tilo, Link, and Ali Gerbrap. And Mr. Holmes, you're correct. I'm yelling at the Cloud. That is correct. Now, in our second bunch here, I'll admit that the font is rather challenging here, but we'll blame that on the age of my eyes here. As it looks like we have Mr. Holmes, Smashy, and Bobsky. Help me out with the rest of these here.
It's Bobsky and CD Improv to round out that group. The next group, Group 3, will be Jay Coper, Empty Eye, Basp33, and Tristan.
Well, that is an interesting second pairing, as you've got a pair of our production crew here. So we've got you, our commentator, and CD Improv, our restreamer, paired together here. And yeah, Jay Coper, certainly a very capable runner. I mean, as is Tristal. Empty Eye, certainly very present as well. And well, I'm not sure how much Empty Eye loves this necessarily, based on the hilarious reactions in chat here. So next up we have Ickbin, as well as Lord of the Synth, Shubinator, and Game Boy F9. Now, Shub, a runner of many of the tournaments. Lord of the Synth, kind of a new up-and-comer to the game here. Ickbin, I will admit, is a little bit newer to things here. And, well, Game Boy F9 is the defending 2-time champion in the standard Dragon Warrior randomizer, but Chaos is a whole nother animal, that is for sure. Then we have the matchup of Ursine along with Tyrenex, Brax, and Janus. That, I think, is pretty evenly matched here. Although I'm not going to give any kind of handicapping or, here's the, if I was an odds maker, here's what I'd put here, because yes, as Link says in chat, with Chaos, anything can happen. Now, the sixth pairing here is going to be the Hangry Canuck, along with Max, the Seawolf 1, and Zarnax 42. Now, in terms of experience, the edge would go to Zarnax, but again, Chaos tends to take everything. Tends to shake everything up here. And Zarnax noting in chat, hopes that we see someone finish a race while someone else in the seat is level 1. Speaking from a broadcast point of view, I hope that isn't the case. The things that are routes of that nature are very difficult to call. Next up, we have HS, our victor here, along with Restation, Captain Grant, another plethora of experienced runners. Although, as I did mention earlier on with the interview with HS, that being the reigning and defending Chaos Tournament champion certainly gives an edge in this one. But Ryu made it into the Elite 8 of that tournament, so it's not necessarily any, the scores can certainly change things around here, and there certainly is grounds and room for a lot of upsets. Next up, we have Beta Strep, as well as the Alan Heffley, Amazing Toaster, and Cyan. Again, a mix of experienced and up and comers into the fray here, and certainly a lot of room for what would at least on paper be upsets, that is for sure. And rounding out the last two here. Okay, this is one where I oh my goodness. I hope to have the distinction of calling this one just for the post race interview, because I'm sure that anything and everything can happen. As you've got the pairings of good friends, better enemies, Jackamus and Brysolf, along with Ryguy here from this race, and Angry Larry to be thrown into the mix.
That's going to be a race to watch, especially with the two strength agility runners.
Yeah, so certainly a clash in styles, and again, very vocal and outspoken personalities. So that one is definitely, yeah. Brysolf just getting it here. Yeah, Angry Larry, Bry, and Jack all in one race. My goodness. And then rounding out the field, yes, that is wrestling level promos. Awesome post game. Come for the race, stay for the interview. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge for that one. And lastly, we have Chitin619, WillWagnerMusic, Eternal Newbie, and Melee Wizard. I believe all four of the runners came into the league around this, or came into the community around the same time. So that should be a very even matchup based on experience and ability. So that one is certainly one to look forward to, as I think that will be an extremely close race. So there you have it. There's the field. So we have the 10 races that are, now that our runners know who they're going to be facing, they will be collaborating schedules, and you will see those here among the Randomania networks over the course of the next week.
Yep, I think the runners will have an interesting week. Some will get a cupcake seed, and then we'll see the opposite. We'll see very hostile noodles and all of the. So it'll be chaos.
It most certainly will be, and this is just heading into the second of quite a few weeks of varying flags. Some we're familiar with, and some that are new to us for the first time, and it will certainly test the mettle and endurance of all of our racers here. So definitely looking forward to that, and looking forward to bringing that to you here over the Randomania networks. So I want to thank you for tuning in here at Randomania. I want to thank our restreamer, CD Improv. Make sure to give them a follow. Also, CyberDark86 doing a fantastic job on tracking. And make sure to give all four of our runners a follow here. HighSpirits, Tristal, WillWagnerMusic, and ryguy3745. And of course, our co-commentator here, Bobski. Make sure to give Bobski a follow, and you can give me a follow as well, I suppose. I'm Ferran Burgundy, saying until next time, may your